How Emmanuel Nwude stole millions of dollars from a Brazilian bank. Emmanuel Nwude was one of the richest men in Nigeria. He owned properties across Nigeria and the United States and was close friends of politicians and top government officials. Emmanuel presented himself as a reputable businessman. He claimed to be the largest shareholder in Union Bank, one of the biggest banks in Nigeria. How did he really become this wealthy? In 1995, Emmanuel impersonated the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. Using forged documents from the CBN office, he sent a letter to one Mr. Nelson Sagaguchi. Mr. Nelson was the head of a Brazilian bank, Banco Nordeste. Emmanuel also had two major partners in crime for this heist, Ikechukwu and Anajemba, who impersonated the CBN director for international remittance, while Anajemba's wife, Amaka, posed as the CBN director's wife. Emmanuel, who was then a Union Bank director, already knew the inner workings of the banking system. He was able to obtain and forge confidential documents that only a CBN governor should have access to. The letter informed the Brazilian bank manager that the Nigerian government was seeking investors to build an airport in Abuja, the new capital of Nigeria. To entice the bank manager even more, they told him that if he provides the first investment of $242 million, he will be entitled to a commission of 10%. With the promises of making over $20 million in commission and forged documents, the bank manager was convinced and motivated to grab this enticing offer. From 1995 to 1998, Mr. Nelson, the bank manager, transferred $191 million to Emmanuel and his partners. The rest of the money was delivered in form of an outstanding interest. During this period, Emmanuel and his partners spent lavishly in Nigeria and overseas. They built massive structures in their hometown and quickly became the talk of the town. While they were living their best lives in Nigeria, an investigation was ongoing in Brazil. You see, a Spanish bank wanted to take over the Brazilian bank in 1997. This meant that by law, the financial statements of the Brazilian bank must be thoroughly investigated to ensure that the bank is in good financial position. Shockingly, the investigation discovered that over $240 million could not be accounted for. This discovery led to an extensive criminal investigation that cut across 5 continents. The Brazilian bank manager confessed and was immediately arrested. He was extradited to Switzerland, where he was jailed for money laundering and other charges. His actions led to the final collapse of the bank in 2001. For a while, Emmanuel eluded the authorities until in 2003. Investigations revealed that one of the accounts that received the stolen money in the Cayman Islands sent money to an individual called Emmanuel Nwude in Lagos, Nigeria. In June 2003, Emmanuel was arrested in his luxury apartment in Ikoyi, Lagos by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC). 7 of his exotic cars were also confiscated. While in custody, Emmanuel tried to bribe the then EFCC head Nuru Ribadu with $75,000, which the EFCC head refused. Eventually, in 2004, Emmanuel Nwude was sentenced to 25 years in prison. His assets were seized and he was charged with paying a fine of $10 million to the Nigerian government. Surprisingly, he only served less than 3 years in prison as he was released in 2006. His accomplice Ikechukwu and Anajemba, who impersonated the CBN director, was allegedly assassinated, while his wife Amaka was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison and ordered to repay $25.5 million. Crime doesn't pay. Stay safe.